Aquarius doesn't do love like you're the sky, I'm your star, because you know damn well there's no sound in outer space. And floating alone in that cosmic silence, you're better at it than anyone. You're not afraid of being alone. You're just afraid of being around people who talk too much with nothing smart to say. You speak less, but when you do, people either freeze or go silent because they can't keep up. Your brain runs like Chrome with 28 tabs open, each one on a topic completely unrelated to the next. Doing the dishes, thinking about existentialism, walking up the stairs, wondering, if humans could teleport, what would staircases be for? People say, you're weird, cold, hard to read. But the truth is, you're just too tired to explain your high-res world to people who still enjoy watching life in low resolution. So when you meet a Gemini, the kind who jumps from astrology to pugs in one breath, you don't walk away. You laugh. You're curious, and somewhere in the middle of that chaotic energy you realize, maybe I should keep this one around so my brain doesn't feel so alone all the time. Because really, who else can sit with you for 3 hours just to discuss whether, if intelligence were a crime, humanity would even be legal? Who else jumps into your thoughts mid-sentence, makes you question your own logic, and somehow makes you feel seen? Not by what you say, but by what you never had to explain. And just like that, you're pulled in the weirdest way. Not because they're gorgeous, not because they're sweet, but because finally, someone is fast enough not to fall behind, and just quirky enough to make you clap your hands in the middle of the night over a joke only the two of you understand. You're chilling in your own world where you can spend 15 minutes wondering what your cat would say about its life if it could talk. And Gemini walks in. No knocking, no asking. They barge right into your stream of thoughts. Add another conspiracy theory, then ask, so, if Earth is a simulation, are we on a free trial version, or what? Strangely, you don't kick them out. You pull up a chair and say, sit, because finally someone doesn't need you to finish a sentence to know what you're thinking. And they're weird enough to make you realize, maybe you're not the only one running on an alternate operating system. Their appeal isn't about looks or confidence, it's the chaos with structure. Everything seems random, yet somehow on your exact wavelength. You don't need a plan to meet up. It's more like, want to go for a walk? Which turns into a debate about emotional evolution or why people like your stories but never reply to your texts. The two of you can spend 3 hours dissecting some bizarre memory and then go quiet, not awkwardly, not with filler, anyway stuff, just quiet. Because with someone on your frequency, silence is also conversation. And if you click like that in everyday life, imagine working together, it's golden. Aquarius is the visionary, Gemini is the broadcaster. One says, let's overhaul the whole system. The other goes, cool, I'll start a podcast to launch it. There's no competition for spotlight. Gemini is clever, quick, connective. Aquarius sees far, creates change. Both know their role. They don't work together for applause. They work to create domino effects, quiet but lasting, far-reaching, even more than they realize. From brainstorming to late-night venting, you start to feel, maybe this is the only person who makes me want to talk all night, but also keep some space, just so I can miss them more. It's not addictive like a fire sign, not clingy like water. This connection is a delicate habit, where at a certain hour, you find yourself wanting to hear what weird thing they're thinking today. No morning text, no where are you, who are you with, just, hey, when I need to turn my brain off, you're the first person I think of. This relationship isn't superglue. It's light, but deep, like a Bluetooth connection. No cables, no notifications, but always there at the right time. Astrology calls it intellectual love. You don't need grand gestures, just one look across a room, one message at the perfect moment, or a shared silence next to a creaky fan in the summer. And you feel, I'm not alone in this strange world. And if the mental connection runs that deep, physical closeness is never casual. It's not a fiery passion like the fire signs, but when minds are aligned, a single touch can spark chills on both sides. Gemini takes initiative, curious and bold. Aquarius stays guarded, but not closed off. As long as they feel seen on the deeper level, and once that's unlocked, intimacy stops being an act, it becomes a wordless language only the two of them understand. Gemini won't ask you to stay, they'll just invite you to come along. Aquarius doesn't want to be held down, just needs someone who knows when to step in and when to give space. There are no vows here, just one very real sentence. Hey, it's been a while since we talked nonsense. Want a call? And suddenly the connection reboots, naturally, like it was never off. Gemini never says I love you out loud, but makes you feel safe anyway. Aquarius doesn't do grand romantic displays, but somehow always shows up right when it matters. This isn't a labeled relationship. There's no script, no controlling, but it lasts on a quiet, persistent belief that if anyone gets that strange language in your head, it's probably this person. And sometimes one person who understands is more than any promise written on paper. Not everyone who enters your life makes noise. Some people arrive like a cool breeze, not flashy, not overwhelming, but strangely comforting. Libra is that kind of person. They don't try to break into your quirky little world, nor do they attempt to peel off your eccentric shell. They simply sit there, offer a soft smile, say something just smart enough, polite enough, and you, an Aquarius who's usually too lazy to form attachments, start thinking maybe you'd like to take a second walk with them. You're both air signs, which means conversation never gets boring. But the difference lies in frequency. Libra carries cardinal energy. They like to initiate, to seek harmony in every word they say. Aquarius is fixed, hard to sway and unshakably stubborn about the new ideas they believe in. One seeks balance, the other flips tables when things are too tidy. It seems like a clash, but turns out to be a filter, helping you both soften your sharp edges, upgrade your systems. Libra's the first person who makes you, an Aquarius, want to buy flowers for someone without needing a reason. They have taste from their suit color choices to the way they tell jokes that never hurt anyone. You're the type to wear an old t-shirt while thinking about redesigning education for Gen Alpha. But when the two of you walk into a cafe, people assume you're a creative startup couple. Half tech, half aesthetic. One pitches ideas, the other refines the wording so everyone feels comfortable hearing them. And oddly enough, you, the one who usually gets bored halfway through, finds yourself enjoying the entire conversation without checking your phone to escape the social rhythm. Working with Libra feels like collaborating with a diplomat in a perfect suit, someone who knows when to speak and when to be silent. You walk into meetings with ideas 15 years ahead of time, scribbled on a napkin because you were too hungry to open your laptop last night. You say, let's design schools based on emotional states. Most people look at you like you've come from Only Libra nods and says, it's bold. But if we sort by emotional clusters, instead of age, it's not that far off. And you feel thankful not just because they agreed, but because they translated your thought into something the world can receive. One of you stretches the vision far out, the other pulls it close enough so no one's afraid to engage. In between brainstorms that were meant to last 30 minutes but somehow stretched to 3 hours, you realize, why is it that every time I talk to this person, the world feels a little more breathable? The connection between you and Libra isn't dramatic, not messy, not the kind where you meet and instantly click, more like a steady low-voltage current, not shocking but always present. You, Aquarius, hate being asked how you're doing every 3 hours. Libra doesn't ask, they send a beautiful painting, a timely reaction, or a gentle quote. And you, someone who always guards their space, suddenly feels seen, felt, without being touched. Astrology calls this compatible freedom. No one holds the other back, yet you share the same breath. You don't need to see each other all the time, but every conversation picks up like you were never apart. Libra shows up just enough that you don't feel overwhelmed, but never feel alone. And for the first time you think, if I ever have to fall in love, maybe this is the version I can handle. Physical intimacy with Libra is the same, not rushed, not explosive. It's like a prelude that makes you want to stay longer. Libra is subtle, every glance and gesture intentional, but never forced. You, Aquarius, need to feel seen on a deeper level, where touch isn't just physical, but a language for mutual understanding. And once that happens, you, the one who thought you didn't feel, remember every touch, every breath that felt real. Air signs don't burn like fire, don't flood like water. They bond through shared thought, and only then through touch. For you, intimacy isn't the beginning, it's the reward after truly being understood. And Libra, the one who doesn't rush or push, becomes the person you open the door for willingly. There's no label between you, no monthsary, no set milestones. But every time they disappear a little, you notice the absence. Every time you go silent, They know when to drop a message. Not to pry, not to ask, just enough to make you feel, I'm not alone. Outsiders don't get it, but you and Libra do. Some bonds don't need names to exist. They're quiet but solid. Astrology calls this a natural mental pact, never written but always honored. One knows when to pull back, the other knows when to lean in. No one tries to hold the other down, yet somehow you become irreplaceable, habits in each other's lives. The emotional presence, quiet, unannounced, is how you know. You've found someone who makes you not want to live entirely alone anymore. Some relationships arrive like summer rain in the dry season, never scheduled, never announced, but when they come, they pour. Aries enters your life just like that. They don't care what you're thinking. They only know one thing: you're different, and they want to figure you out. While you, Aquarius, are still analyzing postmodern social structures and redefining emotional attachment via a mind map, Aries is already sitting next to you, asking, "Are you free tonight? Want to run away?" Everything happens too fast, too directly, and you don't have time to activate your firewalls. But the deeper you go into the contrast, the more you realize something nameless is pulling you two together. Aries is a fire sign, instinctive, direct, impulsive, and unpredictable. Aquarius, an air sign, independent, rational, equally enigmatic. One blasts off like a rocket, the other floats like a satellite. Logically, they shouldn't blend, but that's exactly why they attract. Aries can't figure out why you're sometimes near, sometimes distant, and you can't explain why they're so loud, and yet you feel at ease. And from that contradiction, the connection begins. When daily life kicks in, nothing follows a familiar script anymore. Living with Aries is like playing a game where they always skip the tutorial. No long intros, no overthinking, just full throttle. While you, Aquarius, are still calculating, are we moving too fast? They've already dragged you hiking, ziplining, and suggested moving in. You feel overwhelmed, it feels off track, and yet you're laughing in a way you haven't in a long time, because few people carry enough fire to make someone like you, a mind-based creature, forget to take life so seriously for once. But when these two work together, the outcome is wildly unpredictable. If you start a project together, it's either going to be legendary or crash and burn. Aries jumps at any cool idea. You need structure, a long view system. One runs ahead, the other's still drawing the map. Brainstorms start in excitement, escalate into debate, and end in a strange, oddly functional idea. And somehow you realize, even in conflict, they help you break out of your cerebral loops. So things don't just make sense, they come alive. And from those wild collaborations, emotion quietly creeps in a way that's hard to define. Love between you and Aries isn't cinematic romance. It crashes into you, clashes, and then softens into a random text. Free tonight? They speak their mind, sometimes too bluntly. You think way too much, sometimes too silently. One burns so bright it's rude, the other is so cool it's distant. But together you pull out versions of each other that no one else ever has. Like two primary colors mixing into something weirdly vivid, not traditionally beautiful, but unforgettable. And if the emotional spark ignites, physical intimacy can't help but follow suit, in its own unconventional way. Aries approaches intimacy the same way they love, fast, instinctive, no filter. You, on the other hand, need mental connection before your body says yes. But strangely enough, they might be the first person who makes you someone wired for logic, curious about what pure feeling really feels like, a spontaneous touch, a subconscious glance. And suddenly you realize, if it's the right person at the right time, the body becomes its own trustworthy language. And from that shared space, something rare begins to take form. There's no formula. You don't fully know each other. You're not sure where it's heading, but still, you don't stop. Aries doesn't understand your walls, but keeps coming back. You, someone terrified of emotional mess, feel oddly safe with someone who hides nothing. One is fire that always burns, one is electricity that hums beneath, and somehow those two energies manage to hold each other. In the end, what stays with you isn't perfection, it's the way they touched you in the deepest layer. Aries was never the person you thought would stay. They love fast, live fast, leave without hesitation. And you, Aquarius, don't let people in easily, much less deeply. But strangely, when they're gone, something inside you remains awake. Something that used to be silent, hardened, now knows how to miss, how to wait, how to smile softly when someone asks about a person you no longer hold hands with, but still haven't erased from your subconscious's most sacred vault. After connections sparked by intellect, Gemini, refined aesthetics, Libra, and direct instinct, Aries, Sagittarius arrives as the final piece. Someone who isn't like you, but somehow feels strangely similar. Not because you're alike on the surface, but because you both tend to walk in the opposite direction of the crowd. Neither of you is easy to love. You, Aquarius, are cold, independently wired, allergic to being pulled into anyone's familiar orbit. Sagittarius, born to roam. The more they're tied down, the faster they want to run. And yet, somehow, in this vast world, the two of you crash into each other like two untethered kites, floating without strings, somehow drifting the same way. No proper greetings, no approach strategies, just a weird sense, oh, this person is crazy. In the same way, I am. And when you stop long enough to really look at them, you realize this same kind of crazy isn't surface level. It's coded deep in your shared operating systems, where both of you are unstable in beautifully unique directions. Aquarius is an air sign, mentally sharp, self-knowing, rarely needing anyone. Sagittarius is fire, blazing, blunt, arrow straight, and never looking back. One lives by ideals, the other by faith. And oddly enough, each sees in the other a mirror reflecting their own inner rebel, the part of themselves they haven't even named yet. Both of you are weird. One hides it well, the other wears it proudly. And between these two different flavors of strange lies, a single curiosity. If I stick around this person long enough, could we reach something I'd never reach alone? This mental alignment might begin with offhanded conversations, but once you try working together, your differences in execution become glaringly obvious. You're both staring at the same sky, just choosing radically different paths to take flight. Sagittarius is the type to fly to a random country just because their intuition whispered something vague. You, Aquarius, don't mind crazy ideas, but you need to see a system, a map, something clearer than just go and we'll figure it out. One is an explorer, diving headfirst into any opportunity. The other is a reformer, stepping back, analyzing, then committing. You get frustrated when they run before checking the route. They get tired of you thinking forever and never moving, and yet those very conflicts become your strength. Sagittarius helps you start, and you help them not forget what they started for after 5 pivots. And when you're no longer just collaborating on paper, but syncing emotionally, something new emerges. Closeness that doesn't bind, but also isn't shallow. The love between Aquarius and Sagittarius doesn't look like the kind of love society sells you. There's no scheduled texting, no "where are you right now?" Definitely no "so when are we getting married?" What there is, spontaneous meetups after a week of radio silence, laughing, connecting, feeling as close as ever. Sagittarius doesn't tie you down. They want to walk beside you, not ahead. You, Aquarius, don't control, but you can't handle love with no direction either. And yet you meet perfectly in the middle, knowing neither of you belongs to anyone, but still choosing to return. Not out of habit, but because no one else flies quite like this. And when your minds have synced that deeply, physical intimacy isn't about desire. It becomes a way to decode all the unspoken. For Sagittarius and Aquarius, sex isn't a stamp of commitment. It's a space, free from roles, rules, or romantic scripts. Sagittarius shows up instinctively, unapologetically, craving realness, rawness, no fences. Aquarius doesn't block that, but won't open the door unless the mind feels safe first. And somehow, the way Sagittarius doesn't push, but stays fully present, makes you, the usually guarded one, willing to drop your logic and feel. With your body, maybe for the first time, without filtering it through your brain. And when the body stops being the limit, or the goal, what keeps you both there is something deeper. A shared, silent energy that whispers, "You're not alone in the universe you built." Neither of you is the clingy type, One flies on questions, the other lives through answers that evolve by the day. But the further you go, the more you both realize. The world is vast, but few people make you want to come back and share your journey. Sagittarius doesn't hold on to you, they just appear when you most need that gentle push to live more honestly. And you? The one who thought no one could ever fully get, feel your heart soften when they say, "We don't have to understand everything about each other. Just don't stop talking." And in the end, when no one holds the other, but you still walk a long stretch of road side by side, you understand. Some connections don't need to be defined, yet they'll stay with you for life, like an invisible landmark. Sagittarius won't leave you love letters. They'll leave a sentence that changes how you see the world. You, Aquarius, won't give them promises, but you'll offer a space where they can be their wildest, truest self. There are no strings between you, but there's always a silent current pulling you back together after each flight. Not out of duty, but because you both recognize something valuable in each other. And maybe, for an Aquarius who loves freedom but quietly fears loneliness, that's enough to name it. A deep, unspoken bond that needs no rules, yet is unforgettable for a lifetime. Aquarius doesn't open up easily. You live like an independent satellite, observing the world from afar and only truly letting someone in when they are intuitive enough to understand, without needing you to explain. And yet the universe keeps sending you wildly different people, not to tie you down, but to activate something deeply human within you. Gemini gives you an intellect that knows how to laugh. Libra gives you a tenderness that doesn't try to control. Aries gives you a vibrant energy that makes it impossible to sit still. And Sagittarius gives you the belief that freedom doesn't mean loneliness, but the joy of flying beside someone who truly understands how you soar. But what about you? Among these 4 signs, who messes with your signal the most? Would you like me to explore more pairings in future content, or go deeper into the things other channels shy away from? Hidden love, the silent dialogues in relationships, mismatched desires, or the truths you haven't even dared to admit to yourself? Drop a comment and let me know. Who knows? Maybe your story is the one the universe is waiting for me to tell next.